Hello and welcome to Recharge Wrestling. We're here to plug you into the world of professional wrestling. I'm Fisher and I'm here tonight with both co-hosts, Keeney and Krusty.
Yeah.
It's a three-man pod. I think the first one in about 6 pods that we've done. So it's great to be back at full strength. Hopefully a longer chat. We are doing what we've done the last couple of weeks though, and just doing separate pods, one WWE, and then me and Keeney are going to do AEW afterwards. At least it's 2 doing AEW, so I'm not just chatting to the camera. You may have seen last week's live disaster. Yeah,
I love it.
We will be attempting to
If you haven't
again.
seen the live disaster, go back and have a look.
Go back and have a look. Fisher messes with the curtain for like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
It's quite enjoyable.
Yeah, it's quite a lot of outside interference. You know, it's appropriate for an AEW review. Yeah, I was going to say it's quite appropriate for an AEW review, really. But
Forbidden Door was open.
Yeah, it was. But yeah, so this week, again, we'll just do a WWE chat first and cover everything from SmackDown, Raw and NXT. No news really to talk about this week that was significant enough for us to bother talking about that isn't involved. Most of it is involved in the show reviews anyway, so we'll just we'll talk about that. So let's crack on with it, I guess. Shall we start with SmackDown? Anyone want to start on something from SmackDown from last week?
Can we get straight in and skiddy, or are we waiting for Raw?
I mean, we probably should, because this how the week of wrestling started in terms of
a week
SmackDown.
Of anticipation, wasn't it?
Yeah, so we kicked, and this is my skid mark, just FYI. We actually got wind, I think news broke on the day or the day before that Vince McMahon was going to appear on SmackDown. And obviously, he has a lot of allegations hanging over his head. And I think we were all intrigued to see what on earth he was going to say. And I mean, he ended up just saying now, then, forever, together, and emphasized together. And that's basically it. He just came out for 2 minutes, said that, and went back. And I think the message there was clear that he emphasized together, and he was trying to get everyone behind him. And I think it's almost like a statement, isn't it, to say, I'm coming out, look at them cheering me, I can't be that bad. It's one of those, I think.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing that felt bad about this segment. I felt wrong about it, was the fans' reaction doesn't help it, because then he felt confident enough to go out Monday and do it again.
Well, yeah.
And the fans were like bowing and doing this and cheering and singing along to, and I'm like,
the thing is, if you're not into wrestling, if you're a casual wrestling fan and you don't look at all the background stuff like we do, you won't know what's happening.
No, I can understand it if it's like little kids and stuff, because they don't know.
He's such a puppet master, isn't he? He knows exactly what he's doing. He is a very clever man.
I think people just, they know, but they instantly, it's one of those things, you hear his music and you can't help but pop. Like, I think even if we were there, I'm not saying we'd go mad, but I think if we didn't know he was coming out, we'd probably pop.
I was big excited about him coming out and being there. We were all intrigued, weren't we? But proper let down at what he said, on both shows.
Well, it was blatantly just a cheap ratings ploy. The one on SmackDown specifically, because it was announced before.
To me, it wasn't even, I don't think it's even a ratings, but I think it's just him trying to make a statement. It's just that. I think it's a personal thing. It's just a Vince McMahon thing. It's not a WWE thing. This is just him. And so he came out on Monday as well, and obviously, well, I say obviously, he randomly just told us that John Cena's coming back next week.
We already knew.
We already knew.
There was a video package before it on the show.
Yeah. That one annoyed me.
It was on SmackDown as well.
But
it was on Raw last week.
Just to show his face. Raw gets slightly more.
So what's he going to announce next week? That Money in the Bank's taking place on Saturday? Look forward to the show. I bet that's what he's going to do.
Yeah. I wouldn't mind if we just got every week, we just got Vince coming out and saying really obvious statements. Just randomly for.
Just one week
just
comes
feels
out,
wrong.
I'm Vince McMahon.
Yeah. Mental, isn't it?
I could understand if he was in the middle of this, if they were still doing a theory storyline and they kind of didn't want to drop it and just carried on, then I could understand the purpose of it. But the fact that he had no reason to be on TV and he just came out and did that, it's just, I mean, it's typical Vince, isn't it?
You might have actually just defended why he came out on Raw, because the likelihood is it's going to be Theory v Cena, and maybe him coming out and saying, he called Cena the best professional wrestler, or not professional wrestler, best sports entertainer of all time. That might be a reason for Theory to call out John Cena.
They might use this as a storyline thing. You could be right there. I hope they don't. I hope they stay away from that. I think Theory's and Cena have already done enough based on Theory's promo on Raw as well, and social media things, and the fact that he's got the US title, that I don't think they need Vince's involvement here.
They don't, but it definitely does make sense that could happen. I quite like that.
I wouldn't
idea.
put it past it happening at all. I just don't think it needs to. I think Vince needs to not be on TV at the moment, personally. But
I agree.
The thing is, he's going to see
he
it.
hadn't been on so long as well. If
He's
he was on week in, week out,
he's getting a good reaction. He's not going to care. I don't think he would have cared even if he got booed, to be honest.
No,
but
definitely not.
The fact he's been cheered, he's going to love that even more. He just does. Apparently as well, he's walking around backstage like nothing had happened. Like just, he's lost. Thing is, he's lost his CEO chairman title for the time being, but he is still in charge of creative at the moment. So he's going to be there anyway, writing the shows and whatever. So not a lot has changed, is probably as far as he's concerned. It's basically just to make it look good. He stepped down as CEO.
Yeah, but then he's put himself on TV, which is a bit weird.
Yeah, that's really
it almost counteracts the stepping down. If he'd have stepped down and gone a bit quiet for a while,
yeah,
you'd have thought, okay, he's sort of taking this seriously.
Well, the thing is as well, John Laurinaitis has been temporarily removed from his position, and Bruce Pritchard has been put in charge of talent relations. So if you look at that, and he's obviously just going to go quiet and stay away, Vince should probably have just done the same rather than put himself in the limelight. But that's not Vince's style. It never has been, has it? He's never shied away, and that he's a crazy man. Who knows what goes through his head?
He is. I mean, it's just an ego trip. I think that's what it boils down to here. And
I think a definite ratings thing as well. On SmackDown, he knew that would do big ratings, and it did. To be honest, and that can segue actually when we talk about ratings, because SmackDown did a big number on Friday, but the segment that did huge numbers was my top mark. Actually, Roman Reigns and Riddle, proving that if Roman's wrestling on TV, you didn't have anything else to say on that Vince thing, did you? Before I move on to this, just segued onto it.
Yeah,
I thought it was a good segue. So Roman obviously hasn't really been appearing. We've been criticising his schedule a lot on this pod.
Yeah, but skid last week.
On the positive, on the flip side of that, is when he does wrestle, it feels like a big deal. And SmackDown did a huge number. It's biggest in quite a long time, with Roman and Riddle's title match on SmackDown. So that was definitely good for ratings and good for WWE. But also, I want to credit the match itself as being a really good TV title match. It's a shame we're not getting anything at Money in the Bank, but I love titles being defended on TV and put in main event spots and giving you something on TV that's worth getting invested in, because there's so much WWE stuff on TV where it's not invested in until the pay-per-view. Basically, you'll get a match, you get DQ, sets up pay-per-view match, whatever. This was the end of a feud, really, for now, at least. I think, we'll get to Money in the Bank. I know Riddle's not in the match at the moment. There could be a way around where they go back to this, but in terms of, for now, that's cut the feud off, hasn't it, really? And I just thought the match was really, really good. Roman used in Orton's table thing was really good. Roman did a modified rock bottom again. The Riddle was awesome in this match as well, like just flying around the ring. And then
so that modified rock bottom, quickly, they messed up slightly, didn't they? I can't remember what he called it. I think he called it a choke slam originally, Michael Cole. And then I think
I thought it was Uranagi.
Yeah, so Pat, I think, intervened and said, "Oh no, it's a Uranagi." Then I think Michael Cole obviously got something in his ear to say you're meant to call it a modified rock bottom. They're obviously trying to plant some seeds here. But yeah, I think they miscalled the move at the start, which I picked up on. But yeah,
they've done that before though, so I think it might be on purpose. Roman's done it before, and they've done it before, so I think it might have been on purpose.
No, I think they were meant to call it a modified rock bottom. I think they accidentally called it a choke slam at the start.
The chokes. It wasn't a choke slam. When he called it a choke slam, that was not a choke slam.
Yeah, I was going to say, his hands up around his throat.
It wasn't a joke slam at all.
And I'm pretty sure it was Michael Cole who said that as well, which I was surprised. Yeah, he's usually good at this sort of stuff. But
yeah, that was odd.
That was a wicked segment though, wasn't it? When he and then Riddle hit the RKO off the spear. And the finish was awesome.
Yeah.
I don't think I've seen a spear like that really in a long time. That was big. Riddle took that massively. So yeah, Riddle jumped off the rope, didn't he? And Roman hit him mid-air. That was a savage spear. Yeah, I loved that. And I loved the fact it ended clean.
Yeah, ended clean, no Usos interference, which I expected fully. And I also bought into, like, there was bits of this match where you thought Riddle could win. Yeah. And obviously before the match, I thought Riddle has no chance of winning. But he got an RKO and got a 2 count. Yeah, and like the crowd were really buying into it, and the crowd were into the match, and it was really, really good for a TV.
They're such good wrestlers as well. They got the timing of the kick out.
Oh, Roman's amazing at that. I think that's the one thing he's the best at out of anybody. Is 2.9. He's always been so good at that. Because when he was a babyface, that's the real babyface thing, isn't it? To kick out at the last minute of moves, and he's always been amazing at that. I think Riddle's good as well, but Roman's always been incredible at making near falls look really close. I think he's always been really good at that. So yeah, and we had that RKO one was like 2.99.
Insane. It was so good.
Yeah,
I was clapping away on my little sofa, like yeah. I loved it. Now that's a definite top mark there, Fisher.
Yeah.
Have you finished with that bit?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I'm afraid mine's a bit confusing because it is slightly top marky, but also skiddy. So it was going to be weird.
It was nearly my skid as well. So
it's strange because we then get very unexpected, which makes it top marky for me in a way. I didn't expect this. I don't know if anyone else did, but no. I didn't even think of it. But we get Brock Lesnar come out to then face off with Roman Reigns. So this was quite a cool little segment, really, where he went to shake his hand. And I actually thought they were going to shake hands at one point, but then he F5s him, F5s the Usos. Everyone gets F5, suplexes, the lot. So the skid really is the fact that this is now SummerSlam. I know it's not really the plan. It was going to be Randy Orton, but we've just replicated WrestleMania again. We probably will get a decent build because there's still a lot of time. So it's going to be cool seeing Brock on TV again because he did such a good job up to WrestleMania and we all really enjoyed him. I'm hoping it means we're going to have Roman on TV a lot more again to try and make this a big deal.
That's a good point.
So it's got pros and cons. It's got tops and skids in this. Top skids. But I don't like the fact they've just gone, oh, we need some star power. Who do we bring in? Let's just bring in Brock Lesnar. Don't try and build a star you already have. I mean, we're already talking about having Drew McIntyre versus Roman Reigns at Clash of the Castle. Why not start that now to really make it a big deal? So they may do it. You never know. Throw Drew in that match. That could be cool. Even put Riddle back in just to really spice it up. Fatal 4-way, something like that. But I'm worried they're just going to do Brock versus Roman and that's your lot. It's a big deal, but we've seen it. And
too many times.
And they're bringing Cena back as well, which is good and exciting. But again, they're making a massive deal out of these old superstars and not using the ones they have. I know they have some unfortunate injuries with people like Cody, Rhea, etc. But Randy Orton, he is a legend anyway. He's just a
Randy Orton's basically just been Riddle's basically playing Randy Orton at this point.
So. Yeah, he is. He's got his whole move set. So yeah, it's a bit of a weird one for me. But again, the thing about schedule, which is sort of hangs off the skid mark part, Pat McAfee actually said, which I don't think he should have said because I picked up on it and was like, well, that's not right. He said Riddle and Roman have wrestled the same amount of singles matches since WrestleMania, which when you think about it, Riddle was in a tag team, RK Bro. So that's not a good thing. I mean, Riddle's wrestled way more in which case, which means he's probably had 3 matches or something since WrestleMania, which is insane for someone with 2 titles. And it wouldn't mind if he'd been on the the 2 main titles. If he'd have been on TV week in, week out, cutting promos, beating people up, being like a managerial role, could sort of allow it. But again, back to his schedule. But I completely agree with Fish saying when he does wrestle, it is a big deal. But we still need him on TV.
Yeah, we need him on TV. You don't have to wrestle on TV.
Could you imagine
much.
if none of them turn up now? You just have this title feud is just Brock and Roman just not turning up.
I mean, that's what worries me. Is I think WWE think just announcing Brock and Roman's enough. Like that's SummerSlam.
Yeah,
sorted. They can just book an undercard. Doesn't matter what they book underneath it. They've got Brock and Roman, and that was, I mean. We go back to Mania. It goes back before Mania. I mean, I'm trying to think when their first match was. It was way before Mania.
Wasn't it the Saudi Arabia show or something like that?
Yeah, and what?
That last year.
Yeah, so my issue with this is it's just the same. Like, I don't know how they can get me invested in the same way they did WrestleMania. Because
the thing is as well, they did everything in that build-up. They did crazy, like, backstage stuff with cars going into... Like, they can't really top it. Like, what are they going to do next?
I mean, Brock Lesnar F5 in Usos is just whatever. Like that just happens every time Brock Lesnar arrives on TV. It feels like to me, the what made WrestleMania build so good was the fact. Well, going back towards the Rumble, even was we didn't know where Heyman lied, and that's where the story was. Yeah. But then even towards Mania, it was. Roman's a proper heel and the top guy, and Brock's a face, and this is very fresh.
Was Heyman even there?
He was at Mania, but he didn't really play.
No, not Mania. Oh. This week was he there on SmackDown?
Yeah, he was with Roman, wasn't he?
I think so. Yeah,
he was with Roman.
Yeah, I don't remember him, but that's a problem.
But yeah, he wasn't really. I can't
remember him being there. He should be involved in that to make it interesting. Almost like if he went in between them or something, would have been quite cool. And then again, you're almost starting that weird storyline again. Did he bring him back? Like that could be quite.
Well, I bet Roman asked that. I bet Roman asked on Friday. He's gonna be like, "Did you know he was coming?" Again.
Go back to that again.
I just feel like they're repeating this, and that's my problem with this. It isn't like I think it's a good skid mark, like Krusty said, because for me, it's not the fact they brought back the big stars to cover the injured stars. I expect them bring it. Like for example, Cena. I'm actually looking forward to his return.
I'm looking forward to seeing it.
His return feels like they're going to do something different. We haven't seen Cena and Theory before.
That's exactly the point. And if
and Brock and Roman we have over and over again.
If they would have brought Brock back to face Riddle or to face Lashley or to face...
Can you imagine if he came out after Gunther? I'd have been like, oh my God, I'm so excited.
That'd have been insane.
It would have been amazing. But the problem is for some reason, it's not even they can build stars because they're currently doing it with Riddle. They can do it, but they don't trust them enough to main event a SummerSlam. No. And I wish they would, because I think, truthfully, if they would get behind Riddle properly and push him, I don't know. I think you can make Riddle and Reigns a proper SummerSlam main event, and I don't see why that's a problem to me.
You could, and there's other options as well. They didn't have to press the Brock panic button here. You could have. I know Bobby. I think the reason they haven't gone with Bobby Lashley is because I think he'll end up winning the United States Championship. Spoiler alert. But
spoiler alert.
Well, for predictions when we get that match, But I would have gone with Bobby Lashley because I think Bobby Lashley is a face against heel Roman. I don't think we've seen that before.
I think,
and you can have Roman on Raw then as well because he's defending both titles, right? So you can have him on both shows.
Well, you could even have had the same segment, the exact same thing that happened on Friday, the same match, same everything. Brock comes out at the end, and then he just ignores Roman. He just destroys Riddle, and you're like, "What? Like, what's happened there?" And all of a sudden, Brock and Riddle. I know they've got.
It wouldn't have made much sense for him to attack Riddle.
No, but you can build a story around it. You can make a reason for Brock to attack Riddle or whatever, and then Roman's kind of a bit sheepish, and then you build up Roman and Drew or something for SummerSlam, and there is just alternate things they could have done, but they just go to Brock and Roman. And I'm telling you now, if The Rock cannot make WrestleMania, this could be a WrestleMania main event. I'm calling it now, like 8 months in advance. It would not surprise me.
I can't see that title getting past Clash at the Castle without Drew winning it.
No, I can't.
Winning one of them.
At least, whether they split it or not.
Well, this is the other thing.
You could do a proper... Something very WWE's just popped into my head. You make this a triple threat at somewhere, whether it's SummerSlam, Clash at the Castle, and they do a weird WWE finish with like 2 pinning, and then they both get a belt.
They did that, with when Jericho was a unified champion back in the day, where he had a triple threat and he lost both belts, but he didn't actually get pinned because first fall was for one, second fall was for the other. They've done that before.
I think Money in the Bank could be quite key on what happens, because I think hopefully they don't waste Money in the Bank this year, right? They need to do something big with it, and I can see them doing the Heist of the Century Part 2, which was, which that's what they call the Seth cash in at WrestleMania, running down on Brock and Roman and cashing in.
I would love it, but how do you get away from the fact they've already announced Roman versus Drew at a pay-per-view after SummerSlam?
Well, you could do Drew versus, that's the thing. We could do one title. It could be for one title, right?
So could the cash in, because the defense is for both titles, but Roman retains, Seth cashes in, but he only gets one title.
Yeah, I don't know how they'd work that, but there's a way you can do that. I don't know how.
I really think they'd have been better off by making it clear they were two belts, because there are two belts. Roman hasn't got one belt, he's got two belts, but they call it the Undisputed Universal. They call it one name. They're not saying he is Undisputed Champion and Universal Champion. They call him the Undisputed Universal Champion.
Yeah.
So they're naming it one belt, but he's quite obviously wearing two.
That's how they're going to get around it. The money
and it's real confusion. I think I can't believe we are. I mean, how many months since Mania? 2 months since Mania.
Yeah, we
nearly 3, and we still are not clear what the total situation is. We don't know actually what Roman's holding, and that is scandalous, really. I think for them to get.
Yeah, so it's a big problem, and the main title scene in WWE on the men's side is pretty broken right now. It was exciting to be honest, it was exciting the fact that you felt Cody's going to win that belt eventually, and now he's gone. Randy Orton was an option to have a big match. He's gone, so now you're just back to Brock, and it's like, oh, here we go again. So at least we thought we were going to get some exciting feuds out of it. We're not even getting that now. Hopefully the Drew feud will be good when it eventually happens, because it's inevitable down the line.
Well, they need to start it.
Should we schedule onto segue?
We can schedule.
Let's schedule on.
Schedule a Drew McIntyre chat. So I think that segues nicely.
Yeah.
So we had Drew McIntyre and Sheamus here come out. I remember you guys speaking about their match last week. Obviously, it was a double DQ, wasn't it?
They're both each other with
I have
still
to say,
chair.
I want to, sort of say that match. I don't get bored of them wrestling, because their matches don't miss. They're amazing.
Yeah, I think we said it last week. I think the match was brilliant, but the way it ended, and I think it was actually quite obvious that they were going to do what they did this week, because Raw SmackDown doesn't have enough superstars to not have one of them in.
I don't mind that. My worry was they were going to do exactly the same thing with Asuka and Becky Lynch, by the way, but they didn't, and I was glad they didn't. But yeah, so Drew and Sheamus eventually get put in. Obviously, Adam Pearce tells Sheamus is in first. Sheamus is all cocky, and then he tells Drew he's in. I'm happy they're both in the match, and like you said, it's quite obvious because there aren't too many options on SmackDown. But yeah, I think Drew has an outside chance of winning it based on the fact we know he's going to get a title match at some point.
Well, I was just thinking, not to go back, but we were talking about Clash at the Castle. Drew could win the Money in the Bank, and then because Roman could say, I'm not fighting at Clash at the Castle. Why would I fight you there? That's your hometown. Then he's like, okay, I'm Money in the Bank. I'm cashing in. You're fighting me at Clash at the Castle.
Yeah, exactly.
That could be a way they do it.
Yeah, I saw an article actually say earlier. I was reading one. I can't remember what it was. It was like a wrestling site, news site, whatever, saying that Drew McIntyre is the obvious choice to win Money in the Bank for that reason, because you've got that setup, and I think he is an option.
It's just weird. He's already said it on SmackDown.
Yeah, I don't think it needs the Money in the Bank personally.
I want Seth to win that Money in the Bank.
So do I think he would hold the brief. I think Drew just carrying around the briefcase and then says he's going to clash it in 4 months' time, in 3 months' time.
The only thing is, I want
really
him to cash it in quite quickly.
Well, SummerSlam for me.
I'd rather him keep. Thing is, I think he will cash it in, but I want him to keep it because he's just going to be insane with it. That's the thing.
Yeah, I want, if Rollins wins, I want him to hold it for 6 months and just constantly be on the champion's mind. I think we said last week, Krusty, we want Rollins and Becky as Money in the Bank, and them two just being their cocky selves. Because if not going forward too much, but I think it suits Becky's current storyline if she can win it and then get her cocky. That's the way to get her cocky.
She's got to get her way in first, but I think she does. I think she does get her way in.
The storyline's actually really good, but we're
not quite a Raw yet.
We're absolutely loving the segment today.
Should we move on to should we move on to something that I think is quite interesting, which was Madcap Moss and Happy Corbin,
the big lad.
And what happened after that is what I'm really interested in here.
Yeah, so just before you go on to the after bit, another clean win for Madcap Moss.
Yeah, and this match was really good as well.
Double punchline.
They are clearly putting him over Corbin. I'm interested to see what Moss does, like how far they push him, because again,
he's not in Money in the Bank, is he?
He
should be. On SmackDown,
completely off the cuff. I reckon a Moss Gunter match could be quite cool for the IC title.
Yeah, they've made him now. They've made him serious, and he looks.
It could be cool, but you don't want him to lose straight away.
No, but I think they can have a series of matches.
I don't think losing to like Gunter would hurt him, though.
I don't want Gunter to ever lose. I want Gunter to be unbeaten for the rest of time. That's how much I love him. I just want him to stay unbeaten.
I mentioned it last week. I want Gunter to literally go unbeaten until he pretty much relinquishes the belt.
Yeah, or he just gives it up to challenge Roman or something. Yeah, but go on, Fisher. You've got to go on to the after bit of this.
So afterwards was really interesting because it cuts to an advert break and it comes back and Corbin's still there. And I'm like, okay, what's going on here? And it was called the Last Laugh match, which was a bit stupid gimmick. But we got him go over to the commentary desk, goes over to Pat McAfee and calls him out basically for his commentary. Yeah. And then basically, says he'll make him wish he was dead and stuff like that. And then Pat gets up, cuts a promo and gets the crowd to laugh him out of the arena. So I think we're setting up Corbin versus Pat McAfee for SummerSlam.
Definitely. I think that's a good idea, And I think it's a way to give Corbin a win because he's lost so much.
Well, I'm not sure that's the route it'll go, but where it'll go. But I'm still for the
Pat
idea.
McAfee beat Corbin, for God's sake.
I mean, could you do it on SmackDown and have Corbin win by cheating, then have a rematch at SummerSlam just to get Corbin in Money in the Bank or something? I don't know. That's just off maybe you save it to SummerSlam because there's only.
I think it's
going to be SummerSlam.
I think they see Pat as a big deal. He wrestled at WrestleMania, and I think they're going to bring him out on like big occasions as a wrestler. It's my gut feeling because his match at WrestleMania was really well received. His podcast with when he did a podcast with Vince to announce it, everyone was sort of intrigued by it, and I think he's been built as sort of a star without wrestling. Everyone loves his commentary, so I think bringing him out for just like he's there every week, but then you bring him out to wrestle every now and then is a good idea.
And they're both pro ex-footballers or ex-pro footballers.
There's definite story they can use there because they've known each other quite a long time, and as well, what you want with a sort of worker like McAfee, who's not like the cleanest worker in the world because he's not really a pro wrestler. Corbin's like a really safe pair of hands, I think. So I think they'd work well together.
Quite looking forward to seeing Pat McAfee get deep sixed.
He is going to get deep sixed.
He's going to fly.
I mean, and also what you want, like McAfee's a great talker, but so is Corbin, and the build up could be really good to this match. I think it could be really interesting.
Yeah, I think that could be legitimately really good.
And it moves Corbin away from Moss, which
that's over. Yeah, that's over. I'm intrigued to see what Moss does next because, like you say, there's quite a few options for him. But yeah, it looks like Corbin has got a clear direction.
Yeah. Okay. So we also had a Money in the Bank qualifier on the show. Raquel Rodriguez and Shayna Baszler. Oh, Shani Baz. And and Raquel Rodriguez won.
That's her face name.
So Raquel won. She's in Money in the Bank. Probably not a surprise, but I've said it before. But poor old Shayna Baszler.
There wasn't too much to say about that.
The match was okay. Raquel winning's probably the right decision out of the two right now. I wouldn't have minded seeing Shayna in there, and I guess it's still away. But what I actually like is there's a qualifying match this Friday, which is Shotzi via Leah, which isn't an exciting match on paper, but surely Shotzi's winning that.
To put one of them in, it's great.
I think Shotzi getting in is a good shout. I think she's in her TV time she's had recently, particularly the match against Ronda, the promos backstage where she's trying to rally the locker room. I think she's shown enough to deserve a spot.
Yep.
In a big match like that. So I even though Shayna missing out is annoying, I would have done Shayna versus Ronda and not bothered with the Natalia thing and still had Shotzi.
Yeah.
And you could have had Raquel beat Natalia here. That's how I would have done it. But
completely agreed with that.
Maybe Shayna will get something down the line against Ronda, but right now she's just getting beaten over and over again. So it's not really going to be believable.
Natalia and I've completely forgotten her name.
Ronda Rousey.
To be honest, what just happened is how I feel about this feud and how I feel about Ronda at the moment. Completely irrelevant. Absolutely irrelevant.
It is just, and we'll get on to Raw later, but the women's are in a placeholder slot. Just got to get them to SummerSlam, give them a defense at a pay-per-view, and let's get to SummerSlam because
I think the Raw side is actually really good. I know the thing that
is a lot better actually.
The match is a filler now because of Rhea's injury.
It is a feud. I
actually think the use of the women on Raw is pretty good overall. Their main event in shows, their opening and main event in shows, they feel like a big deal. The women's title is because there's no title on Raw as well. It feels like the main thing.
It should be the biggest title on Raw.
Whereas on SmackDown, it's not. It doesn't feel like the main title. It doesn't even feel. To be honest, the Intercontinental title now, Gunther's got it. Feels probably bigger. And the fact that none of the challengers are credible, that's the problem. Apart from Raquel, who's built up some wins, you haven't really got anyone there that you think with Sasha gone, Naomi gone, Charlotte not around, you haven't really got anybody there. That's why I think moving someone like Alexa Bliss over would have been brilliant. And Bayley coming back, of course, if she comes back, is massive.
I really don't want Charlotte to come back and just get thrown straight back into that. That'd be so boring.
Yeah, Charlotte.
No, I would. We'll get to Alexa Bliss later, but I would have rather they brought her back on SmackDown like as a heel and went against Ronda or something. Would have been so much better than what we're getting on with Ronda at the moment. But yeah, I agree with you. It's not great, is it?
No, it's not. Other stuff from the show. I'm just going to mention a few things we can talk about if we need. Viking Raiders are back next week. Got another video.
That made me laugh. I'm glad you mentioned that last week because I wasn't there and that annoyed me.
They're back, so who's missed them? No one. Max Dupree is announcing his new fight next week. I was
annoyed
gutted.
It's like the third week in a row.
I was looking forward to seeing who it was.
So they put the spotlight in the ring and he was like, the lighting's not good enough. We'll find out this week. And I think we're doing all this and it's going to be really... I don't mind if it's a massive cool thing at the end of it. I think we're just getting Mace or Mansoor. So
I think it could be someone like Pretty Deadly.
Do you think so?
Could be interesting.
They haven't been on NXT since they lost their tag titles.
That would be like the quickest.
Would be
like the quickest call up through the ranks.
Pretty Deadly would work because it is a model agency. But wouldn't it be
I was just thinking of who.
Wouldn't it be funny if it was grizzled young veterans?
Yeah, or like
on the model agency.
Do you know who would have?
The Viking Raiders.
Do you know who I think would have worked great? But it's not going to happen now. Is Giovanni Vinci.
Yeah,
his character is basically that, but in NXT, like away from it. That would have worked really well, but obviously then it's not going to be him. But
I mean,
I just
it'd be quite cool actually because
you
could. I know it's on the wrong. Is it the wrong show? No, it's going to
SmackDown. It's the same show as Gunther and Kaiser.
You could have a real good storyline there, and they're like, "What has happened to you? Matt was sacred, and now you've done this or something." I know it wouldn't make any sense to the audience, but for us, that'd be special.
Yeah. I think
that's actually a really good shout.
It could have been a cool thing to do, but yeah, who knows? Maybe this week.
I'm just annoyed they keep
I want him to
out.
come. You know damn well Vince took his spot by chatting complete shit.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
he took Max Dupree's spot there, which is wrong.
Better not happen this week. I'll tell you now, my skid mark next week. If Max Dupree doesn't announce his client this week, it's my skid mark next week, right?
Yeah,
guaranteed.
Okay. Well, we'll see what happens.
3 weeks in a row just for this, and then you know it's not going to be a big deal. That's going to be annoying.
We're getting a Via special here, aren't we?
Yeah.
He's going to announce it at the Royal Rumble.
Coming soon. Only other thing from SmackDown I've got is the New Day beat Jinder and Shanky is dancing still.
And he was dancing to the trumpet. He was dancing to
Xavier Woods playing Francesca.
Francesca, that's it. Yeah.
I like the fact that Woods knew that was going to distract Shanky and used that. I like that.
I don't mind this. It's a bit of comedy. New Day are back in the comedy scene.
It's the most I've enjoyed Shanky in his WWE career.
This is the thing I've said before. Like I hate it when they make big guys like dancey jokes. But the thing with Shanky was he was never built as a monster.
No.
Like if they did it with Amos now, then I'd be like, this is ridiculous.
There's a Brodus Clay's the
like they did
with
Brodus Clay back in the day. And like if they did that to Amos, but we're doing it to Shanky, it's giving him actually more character than he had. So I don't mind it.
Yeah. No, I agree with that one.
And it's lower card, like if him and Jinder break up and he beats Jinder, like so what? Do you know what I mean? Who cares? Honestly, who cares?
No point breaking up teams down there, I don't think.
No.
Should we move on to Raw?
Yeah, crack on.
Raw. Okay, so we kicked off the show with one of these classic WWE segments where Belair comes out and then every woman comes out one by one. And we have a fatal 5-way match. Was it fatal 5-way?
Yeah.
To determine the number one contender. And briefly mentioned it, but are you guys surprised with who won this?
A little, yeah.
Yes and no.
I'm not disappointed though, weirdly. Like, I honestly don't mind Carmella getting a title shot.
By the way, I will say,
I
was watching the match and I thought, Carmella looks really good here. I was like, oh, she's really impressing me. And I was like, she ain't going to win, but this is quite impressive from Carmella.
I also noticed she's saying Mella is money again.
Yeah.
It's like she's dropped that stupid
the mask
she had.
They even
beautiful woman in the world.
They even mentioned that Corey Graves said in commentary he's got insurance on her face while they were on honeymoon or something like that. So they even played into that and explained why. So they've obviously killed that gimmick off, which I'm completely glad about.
Yeah.
Well, I was really a big fan of Carmella.
I like Carmella. I think
she had a title run and stuff like that. She's good on the mic. She can wrestle as well.
Yes, I was going to say, I think she's really underrated in ring. I think she is very good in ring.
Definitely.
Everybody
in this match was fantastic. This match was an absolute banger, really.
I love Liv and Alexa together when they teaming up and when they wrestled each other. It was really good.
If we ever get tag titles back again, maybe we'll see those two.
Definitely.
I would love to see that.
There was so many near falls, wasn't there? And pin breakups as well. I love it when you get multiple women in the ring, sort of breaking things up. We had this at Backlash, I think. Was it Backlash when we had the triple threat? No, Hell in a Cell. Hell in a Cell. And Becky. Hell in a Cell. And it felt like that again. It wasn't all disjointed like we had one the other week. And it just felt like you didn't know who could win. And the fact that Rhea, although she's injured, it's not good. But the fact she was out and we didn't know who was going to win. And like you say, it was a surprise that Carmella won.
I was surprised. I don't know who I thought, but I was still surprised.
It makes sense in a way because she needs a new gimmick. She is someone that Belair can beat no problem, and doesn't harm her because she's not really doing anything. As much as I'd have liked it to be Liv or Alexa, I think they've got bigger plans for them down the line.
I thought it was going to be Alexa, to be honest. I don't know why.
And just thinking back to SummerSlam, did they ever wrestle Carmella and Belair, or did it never happen? So they could play back to that if again, I know we've only got like a week.
I think they have had
matches
before, but not.
No. But Carmella
got
thrown into that SummerSlam match because Sasha was out, and then Becky came out, and
it wouldn't surprise me if this is a backstage thing. And Carmella said, "Look, I didn't actually get my match. You last minute brought Becky in, so come on, can I have my moment now?"
I just want to make sure Carmella mentions that next week because I think that'd be a really good thing to bring up because then it'd be like, definitely. You actually do deserve this shot. Like, and you beat 4 of the best women in Raw. I mean, Fisher mentioned how good the women have been on Raw, and it's completely. They are the
division's just a lot more
currently
stacked, isn't it? You've got so many top tier women on there that it makes good matches and believable people. Like, you don't know who's going to win the matches, and that's good. And
now 3 of the people in this match are in Money in the Bank.
Yeah.
3 of the 4 that obviously didn't win. So we have 1 left over, which is Becky Lynch.
It's going to be surely Becky, yeah.
Go on to the main event. Asuka and Becky.
Great. That was a really good match again between the two of them.
Loving this. It's like a TV feud, but it's like it's about as good as a TV feud as you can get. Asuka and Becky.
A non-title feud as well for the women. It's really good. I know they've had a title match involved in it, but neither of them are the champion. So
I wonder whether it's me, like, obviously knowing that they're together and stuff, but Becky just reminds me a lot of Seth with the way, like, she reacts to stuff. Like,
I can love her saying, "I'm
Seth
together."
Yeah.
She's taken inspiration, isn't
Seth
she?
has
from
reacted
him?
like that after a defeat, to how Becky did on after this match. Like
Yeah.
just sat there like despondent, and like I remember Seth. I remember he lost the match to Kevin Owens, didn't he? And he got up to Mania. He
Well,
was
he's
just
one
like,
of the best in the world. Why not learn from him?
I think their characters are similar right now. Becky
I
and
love that.
Seth.
I think it's great because it makes sense, doesn't it? But they're not together. It's like, as we said, if they both win the briefcases, it would be brilliant if you don't have them anywhere near each other on TV, but on social media, you like get pictures of them having dinner with their briefcases there or something like that. I just think you could really make it brilliant and so funny as well, but not bring them together and have that issue that you have so often. I honestly think the only people I can think of that really work together on TV consistently is Miz and Maurice.
And Maurice isn't really a wrestler, is she? So
no, but over the years, they've made it work, haven't they? But that's the problem, I think. When you bring them together, one of the pairing suffers. I know it's flicking to AEW, but when did we last see Ty Conti wrestle with? It's always Sammy G, isn't it? It's very rare you see, apart from in the mixed tag match. You don't. Yeah. So it's. I know that's a segue to a different brand, which is not even on the same podcast now. But it was an example I could think of.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But yeah, I enjoyed this, and the fact it had a clean finish, I was not expecting it.
Especially Asuka winning clean. Like Asuka pinning Becky Lynch clean is really unusual. And I love Becky selling as well. When she sold them kicks, she looked like she'd been legit knocked out. Like she did it in the first match and again here.
Becky's just one of the best. She just completely gets wrestling.
And afterwards as well, her selling of not her going crazy with the announce table and everything. Yeah. Like it was really,
I'm really
good.
intrigued.
I think you're right. I think she ends up in the Money in the Bank match somehow, some way. But you know, it's.
Have we got any numbers left, or is it?
Well, I think there's actually 7 people per match.
There's 7, yeah.
So I guess it's 7. 4 Raw, 3 SmackDown if you're going by the rosters.
I think so, or it might be.
Is it full?
No, so we've got 4 in there so far. I think is it 4?
We've got 5.
Shotzi via Leah's happening.
You got 5 with that one, yeah, because you've got Lacey.
What's the
and Raquel, and then
she replaces Shotzi or Leah.
Nah, she should just. Again, only people left are like Doudrop and Nikki and Dana Brooke. Maybe there's been a weird thing with Dana Brooke and her. Maybe that you can have that as a qualifier. I don't know.
Sonya Deville. I don't know where Sonya Deville is, but she's on the Raw roster as well.
And hasn't been.
She's been off TV.
That's a shame, actually. They've dropped her.
I mean, Zelina Vega as well.
I think she's having some time off. I don't think they've dropped her.
There?
Yeah,
Zelina's been injured.
Oh, has she? Okay.
Yeah.
Fax Fisher straight
Zelina's
in there.
This
is why we need you.
Yeah, last week me Fisher being
Chris wouldn't have had a clue. We wouldn't have had a clue. We'd have thought she was on holiday or something.
Yeah.
No, she's injured.
Cool.
Poor old Zelina.
Carmella was as well, which is why they were both on TV.
Okay. To be honest, I think it's almost for the I don't want her to be injured, but it's for the best she's off TV so we can separate.
Yeah.
the pair in there.
And also she would get a bit lost in the women's division currently with how strong it is with everyone else firing like they are. So we're talking Money in the Bank. Let's go on to another qualifier we had on the show. Omos and Riddle. So when you heard this match was announced, who would you have predicted to win this match? Omos or Riddle?
I actually thought Omos was going to win, but I wanted Riddle to win. After he lost to Roman, I thought it'd be great if he can get a way back and you can tell the story of he can get back at Roman.
I thought the story was because obviously one of the things is he can't appear on SmackDown anymore and all this, but he can still. So like he can't challenge Roman, but if he wins Money in the Bank, he can challenge Roman. So I thought that's a storyline here. So I was again surprised to see Omos win. But Omos always wins, doesn't he?
Yeah, it's not that surprising when you think about it because Omos does win a lot of matches and they're very obviously. I just don't want to see Omos in a big ladder match. I just don't. Apart from throwing people around, which he's not even that good at, I don't really see what he's going to offer. Whereas I think Riddle in the match would have been great, along with like Drew, Sheamus, Seth Rollins, all these guys. It would have been a banger of a match. Whereas I don't think Omos offers too much. I know big guys in the ladder match offers something different, but
I mean, we're going to see a spot where Omos is on like the first or second rung and he reaches the briefcase, and that's going to be a spot we see.
Yeah,
at Money in the Bank.
You might even see like him get MVP on his shoulders and try and grab it or something like that. I reckon you're going to see an MVP like nearly get it, and then like Seth Rollins like stomps him or something. I don't know how I'd stomp him actually if he's stood up, but almost has stood up
off a ladder.
But yeah, something like, I don't know. I was going to say someone spears him, but I don't know who's in the match. But yeah, something like that. I can see us having some creative spot like that. But yeah, Omos in the match doesn't really appeal to me. And this match wasn't that great. It was almost just throwing Riddle around, really, wasn't it? It's okay, but
yeah.
When I've just seen him wrestle Roman on Friday, I was like, this is a bit different.
Yeah, bad week
again though. The aftermatch was interesting. I will say that because Seth comes down and just absolutely destroys Riddle.
Yeah.
So I think we're setting up Riddle versus Seth maybe for SummerSlam.
Which is
a decent like. It's going to be.
That'll be an absolute scorcher.
Yeah, it will. It will be a great match and a good feud, I'm sure. It's interesting because obviously the history between the two guys in real life is that Rollins didn't want to work with Riddle a while back, and then they've sort of had programs together on Raw where they've been in matches, and you've they've obviously sort of squashed their beef, whatever beef they had, and now they're in a full-fledged sort of feud. So I think Riddle's kind of maybe earned a lot of respect from people.
Yeah,
like obviously him working with Randy Orton and things like that, and now having a match with Roman. I think that people have started to respect Riddle, and it's made a difference.
Well, and we always we're always very quick to criticize NXT call-ups, aren't we? So I think it's like fair that we say just how good Riddle's been booked since it's being cooked up.
I do think he uses too much of Orton's moves, though. He's almost lost himself slightly. I think it's good to reuse moves sometimes, but I
like him doing the RKO, but
he does it every match though. He does everything Orton does. I think it'd be more exciting if he did it now and again, like Seth using the pedigree. Like it's not his move, but when he needs it, he pulls it out. Whereas we see RKO every week.
I get what you mean. Like if he's desperate to win, I can win if I use
like against RKO. Roman. That RKO then banging, banging. Don't do it every week though.
I do get what you mean, but yeah, I think that's going to be a really good feud.
Could be awesome feud as well.
Unless,
on the
of course,
mic, cool.
It wouldn't surprise me if Riddle somehow works his way into the Money in the Bank match still, because Rollins is in it, and I think they always do these second chance matches.
My picks
I can see them
those two to one of those, Riddle or Seth to win.
What's interesting is there's quite a few options now, because I think we could all see Drew winning it. We could all see Seth.
Yeah.
And Riddle, I mean, I know he's not in it right now, but I think there is a few options. I think the women's side, I think there's less options. I think, again, Becky's the obvious one, but she's not in it, obviously. But there isn't many women, I think. You know, I'm not seeing Lacey or Raquel being Money in the Bank. I'm not seeing Liv. I mean,
but then sometimes they just put it on they'll put it on something because they'll think it's funny, like the Otis thing, like the Nikki.
Yeah, but Otis was quite big at the time.
Like they'll just go, do you know what? This would be funny if we did this, because and then they just completely drop the ball with it. And
they've had a couple of years of doing that.
I mean, I don't know who they would do that with this year, but
yeah.
I guess the equivalent would be putting it on Ezekiel this year, because he's popular in the moment. But it'd be in the long term, putting the Money on the Bank on him would be stupid, because there's no way he's beating Roman Reigns for the title, is there? Even though he's popular right now. So that would be kind of the equivalent, I guess.
He is popular, and we can segue.
I just wanted to talk. I used an example because I wanted to talk about
segue straight.
It's a good example. I want to segue onto my top mark of the week.
I want to say I would have maybe top marked this as well if you.
Yeah, well, it's a 1 point. It's a top mark and a half here, because it is the Elias concert. And it's all that went on around Elias and Ezekiel. I think they worked it really well. They did the backstage segment where they were on the couch.
Do you know what? I thought that was a guy that just looked like Elias at first.
Well, and
I was confused as hell during the segment, but I loved it.
If that's a fake beard they've put on Ezekiel for Elias, it looks really good. I think it looks really cool.
This is the thing I saw. Most people were loving it, and I saw a few people online like, "Oh, the beard looked ridiculous." You could tell it. I was like, it didn't look bad. It
looked like it was Elias to me. Yeah. That was just Elias, like how I remember him.
Yeah,
brilliant. The whole thing backstage was really cool, and like kind of fist bump to the end. I know well, I say easy. I can't do it, but it's not too hard to put people record two different things and put it together in the same shot. So I think worked really well. I liked the fact that he also did the concert. KO came down.
The pop he got as well.
Yeah, brilliant.
For Elias, the Elias gimmick was really loud.
Yeah,
and I did notice that.
It was amazing. And then Ezekiel on the Tron, and then KO went backstage in a huff, and then Elias obviously walked around the corner. I mean, obviously that backstage bit is pre-recorded.
He was so confused by the end of it. KO
was brilliant,
and KO played his part brilliantly.
He's a perfect person to be in this position. Him or Sami Zayn are the two that would play this role really well.
And I loved as well that it was like, I want a match, and I don't care if it's Ezekiel, I don't care if it's Elias, I don't care if it's their third brother Elrod as a joke. And now that the match graphic actually has Ezekiel, Elias, or Elrod. As the thing. And I've got a funny feeling we're going to get a third thing here.
What I think would have been interesting, because obviously this doesn't leave much mystique for next week, because it's just going to be, it's probably going to, my guess is this is just going to be Ezekiel dressed as Elias, and it's just going to be Elias v Kevin Owens. I think it'd been better if he'd have said, I'll have a handicap match, I'll fight you both. And then that would have been interesting to be like, how do they do that next week?
Maybe that's what they do eventually.
Yeah, maybe they. Yeah, maybe it is. Maybe that's
going to be the payoff.
I think one of you said it to me off the pod. It's like the new Mick Foley.
Yeah, I said it. I said if they could do full three faces of Foley, if they bring in a third one, because obviously Mick Foley back in the day had Cactus Jack, he had Mankind, and then he had Mick Foley, and he would play and Dude Love. So he actually had four in a way, but he played three in one go, and they did a Royal Rumble where all three entered. He got eliminated. He came back later on dressed as, and I think they could do that with this if they can keep it going long enough. Then my only thing is, and I know you sort of alluded to off podcast, is like the Ezekiel character itself. I don't think has that much shelf life to it.
The only thing about Ezekiel is he's Elias's brother.
And Elias was so over when it came out. I want to see it transition in the end back to just him being Elias. Because for me, Elias was a great character. And I said this when he was off TV, and I was like, I'd love to see Elias. I like him. And during the pit period where he was with Jackson Riker and he was doing nothing and it was really bad, I was always like, Elias deserves more. I think he's great. And we're seeing that again now. I just think he's played this really, really well. But I do think the Elias character has got more shelf life to it than Ezekiel.
Yeah, I do also think that if this wasn't opposite Kevin Owens, it wouldn't be working as well.
No.
And this is the thing. Eventually, they'll move on from Kevin Owens, and it's what does Ezekiel, or whatever they go forward with. I just don't know how it works with. You put this against, like, I don't know, Austin Theory. Does it work as well? I don't know.
No, you need a great person to play off, and Kevin Owens is maybe the best in the whole of WWE at playing this. Right?
I think it has a very short shelf life, and I think it's about another month this will be good for, and then I think it will die out.
At the moment, it's my favourite storyline, definitely in WWE, and maybe in the whole of wrestling. Honestly, I love it. But you're right, it's not got the longevity to
the whole of wrestling.
That's a big shout.
There aren't that many captivating. To me, there aren't that many captivating storylines in AEW at the moment because of. We'll get to it on the AEW pod, but they're kind of in between two pay-per-views and Blood and Guts and all this all over the place. So there's a few, but there's not many. And WWE doesn't have that many good ones at the moment. Let's be honest. With Roman hardly doing anything, there's not that many good feuds in WWE. Becky and Asuka's a decent feud. Rollins and Cody was the best feud by a mile, but that's finished.
Oh yeah.
So there's not really one at the moment that I think is better than Elias and Ezekiel. Elias and Ezekiel?
That'd be a good feud.
That would be a great match, wouldn't it? That'd be a backstage segment for sure.
Yeah, well, I was thinking, could they bring back the the pre-filmed matches they used to, they did during the pandemic era? Actually, that would be quite a cool way to do it.
If they'd have done this during the Thunderdome era, they could have had an amazing cinematic match doing this.
Cinematic, that's what it's called, yeah.
But I don't know if they're going to do that now.
Cinematic, man.
Whoa, man.
But yeah, great top mark.
Cool, thank you. What did you guys make of Bobby Lashley on this show? Because he was all over it, wasn't he? We had him. We had Austin Theory come out and do his poses. Lashley obviously got into a selfie behind him. then speared
I
him.
liked that bit. I did like that.
Yeah.
That's
and then we
funny.
had the old WWE Classico, the old gauntlet match, where he had to take on 3 opponents, Gable, Otis, and then Theory himself to get his title
the fact
match.
that Theory himself went in it rather than trusting 3 random guys to beat him.
Was
He's
clever
like, I'm
as
going to
well.
go in
He
third,
did it after the
have the 2
beatdown.
guys. Yeah, wait till they get beat.
Otis and Gable probably the right 2 to be 1 and 2 because that's kind of their role, isn't it, currently?
I thought they chose this well. The matches were like average, and the problem is it's so obvious. If it's one person running a gauntlet, not all gauntlet matches, because you don't always know who's going to win.
Yeah.
But if it's one person running a gauntlet to get a title shot, you know that person's winning. So it's just
obvious. Yeah.
It's just a matter of how you get there. But yeah, Lashley looked good in this.
My favorite part of all 3 of them was when he shushed Chad Gable.
Yeah.
That was shoosh.
Yeah,
I quite enjoyed
that. The
that.
match just weren't anything to
you don't see much from Lashley like that in terms of like the comedic side, so I quite enjoyed that. But yeah, Lashley is facing Theory at Money in the Bank, isn't it? That's a title match. So
yes,
which should be good. Should be good.
Obviously, we're getting John Cena back next week.
Cena's next week.
And I know, it's a bit of a Money in the Bank prediction, but I think we're going to get Cena cost. I've said it already on the pod. I think
you can't see
Cena
me, Fisher.
Theory.
You can't even see your hand across your face.
I think we get Cena cost Theory the United States title, put it on Lashley, and then you can have Cena and Theory.
Sounds like someone's been listening to the Recharge Wrestling podcast.
You must have listened last week, Fish.
And and also then what I love
we
about
couldn't
that
see you. Maybe
what I'd love about that is you can have Raw to have the IC title on SmackDown, Lashley have the US title on Raw, and make those titles feel big.
100%. Let's do it.
I think it is vital at the moment to make the second titles important and to put them on the right people. And I mean, we say Lashley, but I think Theory is doing a very good job currently as US champion. He's on TV every week. He's doing promos. He's fighting most weeks. He's doing a really good job.
Britney Spears microphone.
Yeah, I do. That is
it's fine, but he's fine, but it's not Bobby Lashley having it would be even bigger, wouldn't it?
Big Bob.
No.
Yeah, he would. Yeah, because he's a former WWE champion.
Yeah.
I mean, another new feud I think started this week was AJ and The Miz. I think that's a feud we're getting. 2 people weren't doing too much, so it probably makes sense. And I don't remember them interacting much in the past. Maybe I was thinking about that.
I'm sure they had a feud a few years ago.
Well, again, AJ was on SmackDown for ages, and I can't remember Miz not been on Raw for a long time. So they may have just missed each other for.
I think they have had a feud, but it was a long time ago. So it feels fairly fresh, which is good.
And what do you make of Ciampa, or like just taking people out and almost like taking out people that the Miz is having?
Yeah, well, I said this a couple of weeks ago because I said that I'm sure there's a link because every time it's to do with the Miz. The Mustafa Ali thing, there was somebody else as well. I can't remember.
It's got to be now, surely.
Do you reckon they're going to be a team or like a pairing?
I think
Miz and Ciampa?
I think Ciampa's just going to be Miz's, like, not bodyguard, but
it's really odd
assassin.
Hitman.
I would not have called this Miz and Ciampa. Cool.
No, I wouldn't.
If this happens, I just want to hear. With it.
I think Ciampa's too good of like a character to just be a silent assassin. I want to see him.
I don't want to hear him
talk.
If he was winning as well, though, like if
he
was
silent
every week, and
he
wasn't, and he was not talking, but he was looking badass, and he was just killing people, like then I'd think but he's not cutting promos. He's also losing every match, looking good in them most of the time. Like his matches are good, but he's losing every time. So it just makes him look a bit rubbish, really. Which is a shame because he could be doing so much more than that. But I think there could be potential if you partnered him with the Miz properly instead of just doing what they're doing. But yeah, AJ and Miz is an interesting feud, isn't it? They keep mentioning Miz's little tiny balls, don't they? They love that.
It's because the crowd reacted the first time so well. I think they love it.
Again, the Miz is a bit like Jericho in that, where he will pick up on something if he thinks it could get over, so he's just going to pick up on it. And
I still find it funny.
Yeah, it's funny.
Miz and his balls.
What I do like is sort of Miz sort of ran down AJ's bad luck recently and sort of saying you're on a really bad, Balor.
It's good they're actually noticing it.
Yeah, I feel like they're playing into a storyline where AJ's not himself. And this is a great chance for AJ to get.
AJ is currently maybe the most like lost superstar in
Well,
WWE.
he's up there.
He's
like,
just
out of the top guys.
What's he doing? Yeah.
The feud with Edge was good.
Well, didn't I
that.
see he appeared on Impact?
Yes, he didn't. He appeared on the screen. He didn't show up.
Oh, he didn't actually show up.
No. He won an award.
Yeah.
They did.
I did.
I thought if he actually showed up and wrestles, I should have actually looked it up, to be honest. But if he turned up and wrestled, that'd have been it.
WWE allowed him
speech.
to do a speech on video.
And then, interestingly, none of the AEW Impact guys were on there. Just
Samoa Joe.
Tony Khan didn't allow them or something. Well, I don't know if he didn't. Maybe it's just
high of the year.
Because Samoa Joe apparently was meant to be, but he wasn't.
So Vince is a nicer guy than Tony Khan. By that Impact.
I don't think it was anything to do with Tony Khan.
Bold statement.
That's a bold statement. Yeah.
What else did we have?
That's basic. I mean, other than Veer Mahan threatening no one, that's all we got on Raw, I think.
Oh, and we got Jey Uso versus Angelo Dawkins, which was alright.
We
just setting up
did.
their match.
We said before Angelo Dawkins. I think he's just getting better in ring.
He's
Angelo Dawkins,
big time, isn't he?
And main event Jey Uso. He's not like that. That's not just a win to be sniffed at. I don't think.
No, it isn't. You're right.
Big main event Jey.
Now he's mid cards losing to Angelo Dawkins. Jey. Yes. Should we go on to NXT?
I think
go to NXT.
I mean,
NXT.
Maybe we should start with the main event here because it was it's kind of
straight in, are we?
Yeah, I think it's a story throughout most
Cheeky.
of this. I think we had a couple of bits beforehand. We had Tony D'Angelo and Cameron Grimes. Not Cameron Grimes, Carmelo Hayes. I forgot he was North American champion then. Carmelo Hayes and Tony D'Angelo in the main event. Really, the story here is Escobar betraying Tony D'Angelo.
I totally forgot my skid mark from Raw.
Oh, did you? Oh,
we'll do it afterwards if you want.
Okay, we'll quickly mention this match. We'll go back for a skid.
Is it on Raw?
Yeah, because it wasn't on. It didn't actually appear on Raw, did it?
Yeah, we'll go back. We'll go back to Fisher skid mark.
I forgot to talk about it, and I've just remembered.
How
he's having a mare. 1 week off. He's had an absolute disaster.
It wasn't on my notes because it wasn't on the show. It was something I thought of off my top of my head. That's why.
All right. Let's just finish this main event quickly.
Go on.
Escobar betraying Tony D'Angelo. Who was surprised?
Oh, nobody.
No one. No.
Not a soul.
Were you surprised they did it so quickly?
Not even Tony D'Angelo was surprised.
They did it
I think they realised it wasn't going anywhere. They had two of their top teams together, not doing much because they were together. So I'm not surprised. But
I would have quite liked if the other two would have turned on Escobar. I mean, I don't want Legado to break up, but I think that would have been quite an interesting turn. But to do what they've done, it's just completely expected, which isn't always bad. But I think this one just felt a bit too obvious for me.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting as well now what happens with Tony D'Angelo's group, because obviously we know that Two Dimes has been fired. So this was obviously recorded in advance before he was fired, but as of next week, he's not going to be on the show. So the group's split now, and Tony's only going to have one guy with him. He had like 6, and now he's got one. So it's a big change.
Surely they could just get another performance center guy to
replace him.
I mean, it wasn't like Two Dimes had a massive character.
Oh, God, no.
It's not hard to replace.
Honestly, you could have just put a different guy there, and not told me he'd been fired. I probably wouldn't have even known. He's barely been on TV.
Yeah,
but yeah, it's just interesting. It's an interesting timing, because of that.
I mean, speaking of interesting timing, should we get to your very late skid mark?
Yeah. So sorry. Yeah, sorry about
that. It better be a good one.
I'll say build up.
My skid mark was just the absence of Judgment Day. So.
Oh yes.
We obviously at Judgment Day a couple of weeks ago. I think we loved the fact that we kind of loved the segment.
It was a bit of a mix.
On edge, but we kind of thought it was a bit weird timing, rushed, and all that. Fast forward a couple of weeks, and then wrestling on main event, and sometimes wrestling on main event doesn't signal too much. It just means you haven't got plans on that Raw. You're there, so they put you on the show, whatever. And once you can forgive it, but it is worrying 2 weeks in without Edge in the faction that Balor and Priest have been relegated to main event. Now, interestingly, the match was against the Mysterios, who also shouldn't be on main event, really. I don't know why they didn't just put this match on Raw. They could have easily found 10 minutes.
I'm in mixed moods for this because, in a way, I moan that we see the same stuff week in, week out. But it's weird because we're not used to it with WWE. They should be on every week. That's just the way we think. But if this happened on AEW and they had a match on Dark,
you wouldn't think of it.
We wouldn't think of it, would we? So maybe they're learning, and then next week we might get Judgment Day versus Mysterio.
They have rotated people a lot on and off main event recently. I know Ciampa's been on and off it. Ali's been on and off it. Cedric Alexander's been on and off it quite a lot. And they did have Doudrop and Nikki ASH and people like that on there this week who've been on Raw most weeks as well. So they are rotating it. And I get what you're saying, but it's the fact that
I agree with
a match of that caliber, if they were even if they were facing like a random team, if you'd have done Finn Balor versus T-Bar, I wouldn't have thought too much of it because T-Bar's always on there. But it's the fact they did this match, and in fact, it's 2 weeks. You're
right.
2 weeks.
2 weeks in, Balor needs a build. He's just taken over this faction with a real shocker. It was a real shock, wasn't it? Really, we didn't expect it this early. You need to have him on TV every week, just causing heat. I forgot. I honestly forgot about Judgment Day.
They did show them on a little vignette.
The only reason I didn't forget was because I thought it was weird that Bianca's the one that told us that Rhea was injured. I was like, well, where's Judgment Day? Why aren't they telling us this? But that's the reason they're on main event was because there's no Rhea Ripley. And she was the one who was getting the push. Yeah. So without her, again...
It was such a good faction. They were like my favourite in there.
Just have like a 2-minute backstage video where they say Rhea's injured, but she'll be back for the title.
Set up a match with the Mysterios
and just chat some.
And then do
Judgment
that match
Day
next week.
But whatever. But
if that's the feud you're looking at, I don't know if it is, but
I do. Yeah, I do agree with you, Fish. I think when something like a new group just after a big angle is quite prominent on the show, they shouldn't always wrestle or do big angles, but they should always have a presence on a show. And so I think that was a bit of a dropped ball from WWE there.
Yeah, I just thought it needed to be said. We can go back to NXT now.
Yeah, good
skid, Fisher. I'll allow this one.
Good skid. What else from NXT have we got?
I guess we should probably talk about the toxic attraction in general. We had so earlier on in the night we had Katana and Kaden have a match against Feroz and Leon, which was an okay match. There wasn't a lot to it, with Katana and Kaden winning, and they've obviously had a tag title shot fairly recently. But Toxic Attraction come out here, cut their usual sort of standard promo. What I did know about this promo, did you hear the fans chanting for Gigi? They weren't chanting.
I didn't actually know.
When they were talking, they were going, I can't remember exactly what they chanted, but they're chanting for Gigi Dolan out of the three. So that was very noticeable.
That's a bit random.
Well, I think she's the most popular of the three, honestly. I think obviously Mandy Rose is the figurehead, but people like Gigi Dolan. That was noticeable. But then we also got, obviously the promo was about Roxanne and Cora Jade. They come out and I thought, oh, here we go again. They did this with the last tournament where, was it KLR and Io Shirai could have gone for...
Yeah, they won a tag tournament and they went for a singles title. And now they're doing a singles tournament and going for a tag title.
Right. So they were like, I was like, why are you doing it like this? Anyway, so they kind of tried to explain it with Roxanne said, I want to share my moment with my best friend, which was kind of cool, but still you still rather go for the solo title, wouldn't you? Yeah. And then obviously Kaden and Katana come back out. And they had a little Toxic would I like this bit because the babyface teams were going at each other, arguing, end up fighting, and the heels are just chuckling away like, ha.
I'm quite enjoying Katana and Carter.
I really like them.
They've turned a real good leaf here.
They're the best women's tag team in WWE. Full stop.
They're fantastic.
That's like a list of one team, but yeah.
They are though. I think they're better in ring than Toxic Attraction. I think they're better in ring than. I mean, you go back to. I mean, obviously, Sasha and Amy are no longer a thing, I guess. But I guess there are no. I mean, do you drop in Nikki ASH? I think
that's what I mean. You're not really.
Yeah. I know it's very fake praise, but I think they're good. Is what I'm saying.
You could bring them out to the main roster, and I wouldn't complain at all.
I thought they were going to because obviously they lost on NXT like the day after on the pay-per-view when day after they said that they were going to have that women's tag tournament. So I thought,
completely dropped.
That's all linked. I thought it's all linked. They're going to come up to the main roster, be in a tag tournament, maybe not win it, but they just need teams on the main roster. But so maybe that was the plan if they were going to do that tournament. They're obviously not doing that anymore.
But what do you think is going to happen here? I reckon we might end up with some sort of triple threat. I know they're doing a number one contenders match next week.
Yeah.
Do you reckon maybe Toxic are going to...
I mean, also, by the way,
and it ends up being a triple threat.
This number one contender match is stupid because doesn't Roxanne have a contract for a title match? So why is she having to
I didn't even
be a
think
number one
that.
contender?
Yeah, that's a bit silly.
I mean, this is a very flawed storyline. They're really making this harder work than it needs to be.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. Actually,
but,
I didn't even think of that.
Yeah, I think they will do a triple threat tag team match, but she should not have to qualify for it.
No, that's
I mean,
so
she shouldn't
stupid.
even go for the tag titles. Surely the contract says for the women's NXT women's title, not for the NXT.
But it's one of those things.
Titles.
It's like Money in the Bank is for any title you want to go for, but you're not going to get them go for the tag titles or the Intercontinental or the US titles.
I actually thought they might have done that with was it Otis? I think.
Yeah, the tag. There was rumors he was going to go with Tucker for the tag titles, but
yeah, I think they could have done that. That's the one they could have done it with. But yeah, it sets a bad precedent once you do it once, and it's almost like they're almost undoing their previous one where they had the tag titles go for singles. They're like, oh yeah, we'll undo that mess by doing singles for the tag. But yeah, it's just it just kind of makes a mockery of the whole breakout tournament now because what's the point? Like they were already kind of in a tag team feud with Toxic Attraction before, but yeah, I mean it'll be a good match. I think actually, I think it could be quite a good team actually, Roxanne and Cora. I think given Cora's improving in ring, but she's probably still not quite ready to hold a singles title feud. So to protect her in a tag team is probably a good decision from NXT.
Yeah,
I think
definitely.
so. I think it could be. I think it could be good. Definitely.
Should we go to the opener of NXT? I quite enjoyed this actually. So Grayson Waller versus Solo Sikoa. They are big on both of these guys, and I think both of them sort of have something. They are really impressive. Yeah, I really did enjoy this match. And
really good.
Again, a clean finish.
Yeah, clean finish.
And a
relatively.
Win for Waller. Yeah, clean.
The turnbuckle was used.
Yeah, but it wasn't too ropey.
It was a finish pin 1, 2, 3.
Yeah. No dodgy
and it wasn't
roll
outside
up.
interference.
No one jumped up on the apron or anything like that.
No.
But yeah, it wasn't. Sorry, not clean. It was dirty, but it fits his character, doesn't it? And it's not done that often. It is done, but
also Solo Sikoa doesn't lose very often either. So I was quite surprised by this result.
He lost
I
a couple
thought
of
Solo
times
was going to win as well. I thought Solo was going to win.
There's been a few matches this week. I was surprised by the outcome, which is a good thing. I think it's a good thing.
I did enjoy this one.
But yeah, I think Grayson Waller's brilliant, isn't he? Well, but both of these guys will have no problem on the main roster at all. Both of these two.
No,
think. I mean,
Solo's got the Usos.
I mean, Solo Sikoa's wrestling career is fine. He'll have a great career.
Well, apparently, he was meant to be
a brilliant addition to the main roster.
Yeah,
and they tried him, didn't they? So they've given him a little introduction to it, and he was already getting a little bit of heat. So he's just that damn good on the mic.
He could be like the Miz,
and he's great in the ring. His finisher is so cool.
He's way better than the Miz in the ring.
He reminds me a bit of like
he's way more entertaining.
Maybe it's just the finisher. But it reminds me a bit of Theory with like just how he is. Like he's probably a bit more than Theory, but Theory's current character, I think he kind of similar. Grayson Waller, I think he could play that role. Probably more on SmackDown. But yeah, I just think he's brilliant.
I think he's good. I think he's a future star. I really do. I'd definitely go out and say that.
Yeah, I agree. What else?
Speaking of future stars, let's have a cheeky progression. So we had a promo of a car driving away, which famously Fisher thought was an advert.
I did.
Famously,
everyone knows that.
Fish Facts Fisher's famous. It's fine. You might have to correct my pronunciation here, Fisher. JD
McDonagh, I believe it is.
McDonagh. Okay, let's go with that then.
Not Madonna, like Vogue. McDonagh.
JD McDonagh which is Jordan Devlin from NXT UK. We did know this was going to happen because he lost his match in NXT UK a few weeks back.
Yeah, losing his NXT.
Lost to Dragon.
And obviously he's been on NXT before. He's a former cruiserweight champion as well.
Yeah, so he was there, and I was gutted, wasn't I, when
he is
COVID hit and he had to give it up.
I'm actually surprised he moved back down to NXT UK because he was on NXT for a little while and they moved him back.
I think he's
never official. Yeah, maybe, but he is.
They've moved a few over now, haven't they? They've moved Nathan Fraser, A-Kid, and him over. So I mean, we haven't seen A-Kid.
Some real talents there.
Yeah, well, even Albert Fire's not.
Yeah, and Albert Fire really.
Fairly recent. Yeah. I mean, NXT UK has a lot of top stars. I mean, I still can't believe Tyler Bate hasn't made it to NXT yet.
Oh, he's got to be on his way, hasn't he? Now,
Dragunov is another one we'll see at some point on NXT. Maybe main roster, straight to main roster. I don't know, but NXT UK is a lot of real talent down there, and yeah, Jordan Devlin will be
good.
Amazing.
It's a breeding ground for good McDonagh. Wrestlers. Yeah. None of them come up and they're crap in ring. I think they can learn the mic stuff, and a lot of them are good at it anyway. Devlin is absolute fire on the mic.
Yeah.
I just think he's going to do. If they book him right, he's going to be awesome. In NXT main roster, I'm not too sure just because of his size. I don't think they'll look at him too fondly.
I just think they'll be like, is that Finn Balor? Oh no, it's just a guy who looks like Finn Balor and sounds like Finn Balor. That's how they'll view it, I think.
I think he'll be a bit...
I think he's better than Finn Balor on the mic.
The best he could do on the roster
and he's almost
is Ricochet. I think he's like Ricochet.
Slating Finn Balor with Finn Balor shirts on.
No, I'm
not slating him. I'm bigging up how good Devlin is. But yeah, we're part of the Balor club.
You sound like Balor's like, oh.
2 out of 3 of us here.
No, we're not slating him. We're being realistic. I think it's good to be like that, though, to have a mixed opinion on things. Like, I love Seth Rollins, but the chair segment at Hell in a Cell was bloody awful.
How have you crowbarred that into NXT roundup?
Well, I haven't mentioned Seth enough yet. Ex-NXT champion, Seth Rollins.
Can I talk about someone we haven't mentioned at all yet?
Yeah, let's.
Wesley. He
awesome
came out.
Promo.
Cut a emotional promo. I mean, not by name, but he mentioned Nash Carter, which is interesting.
Real life stuff
to bring that up, because he obviously left on quite funny terms. Nash Carter. It wasn't a release because he wasn't good enough. It was released because of other of other things. So I'm surprised he was allowed to speak as openly as he did. And Trick Williams is the guy who stepped out to him, which is we haven't seen Trick in a few.
I like this because Trick and Mello, like separating but still being together. I like that.
Yeah, I want to see a bit more from Trick, so I'm quite interested to see what he can do with Wesley. Which would be interesting.
I'm glad they are like going in on Wesley's character and like really making him feel important because I was really worried when Nash Carter got released.
I'm really intrigued, and also it's going back to. Actually, I don't think it's quite many of them, but I think there was some dark tapings where Wesley has appeared on main roster dark tapings.
Really?
Recently on like SmackDown, before SmackDown. So
wow,
they're obviously looking at him, Wesley. He is impressive. I mean, you can't doubt he's good in ring, and he's actually.
I think they were super high on MSK before.
Yeah.
The release. I think MSK would have gone up and been tag team champions, like the Street Profits have been.
Yeah.
Really.
You're probably right.
But maybe they think, well, we'll just still continue pushing him because MSK felt like they were really. I mean, they had that stuff with Riddle, didn't they?
Yeah.
It makes you feel important.
If he can start showing this kind of level on the mic, then I think he is destined for good things. Wesley, very talented guy. But I mean, the main point here is I'm interested to see Trick Williams in a one-on-one feud. That's what I'm interested in.
I'm pleased he's getting some limelight because the promo was quite real, wasn't it? That Wesley said he plays second fiddle to him.
And then Trick also played it up, saying, your friends always leave you and stuff like that. So
that was savage, though. That's not storyline. I mean,
well, savage, but yeah, it's I'm intrigued, very intrigued to see if it's going to be a proper feud or just a match or what happens, or whether maybe Carmelo's just defended the title. Maybe this is a stepping stone to Wesley Carmelo for the North American title potentially. Who knows? But yeah, intrigued, definitely. We also got a Diamond Mine match but not the two we usually see. It was Roderick Strong and Damon Kemp against the two Legado guys.
This kind of fed into the match later on, didn't it?
Mendoza and Wild.
They was it Stacks? I think tried to, or two. One of them.
Oh yeah, one of them tripped.
Caused the finish. So I think that kind of led to the main event and Escobar.
And also, I also quite plays into the Diamond Mine thing because Roderick Strong, like, yeah, we won. I think we're leading to Strong and Kemp, the Creed brothers, aren't we? Yeah. That's what we're leading to.
I think so.
Which is quite a cool
That'd be awesome.
feud. I think Damon Kemp's really good, by the way. I just want to say that. I've never seen his brother wrestle yet on the main roster, Gable Stevenson, but Damon Kemp's really good. So yeah, could be an interesting.
I think he's got a bit more experience in pro wrestling like this, so than
what Damon Kemp has.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, because he's been in NXT a while, hasn't he? Now, like he's wrestled in NXT UK. He's been in the Performance Center for quite a while, I think. Before Gable signed after him, so I think, and he's not really been training because he was doing his other stuff. So I think he's got a bit more experience, which is why we've seen him before. His brother. Yeah,
fair enough. So there's 3 other matches, but before I get to those, there's 2 segments I just want to quickly mention. Chase U, we had Bodie Hayward get a new roommate.
She was so excited.
Her name, Thea Hall. I mean, it's a bit silly, but I just enjoy Chase U.
That is okay.
Who knows where this is going?
They're a bit of fun.
I don't think they know where this is going right now, but I just thought that was worth mentioning. And also, we had another small development with the Joe Gacy dyad.
Oh, actually, I found this interesting because of the words he used.
Yeah, so he mentioned they'd tasted gold before, so they've been champions. I mean,
well, that made me think, because all the Young Veterans been champs, they haven't, have they? But what he also said is they've come together.
UK,
Well, it could be them, but the thing that he said as well is people that were on their way out, which was all the Young Veterans were, because they did that locker room clearance thing last time we saw them. They also said they've come together to join me. So it makes me think there was 2 singles people that have now come in.
And also,
I can't think who else there is.
The size of them. James Drake isn't that tall.
No, I don't.
I just don't think it can.
But I was just trying to work out who's been on NXT that's tasted gold that's not on TV at all.
I mean, could it be Zach Gibson and someone else?
Bobby Roode.
Zach Gibson and Bobby Roode. Is that our predictions?
What a tag team.
I mean, yeah, it's interesting.
It's Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa.
Yeah, I just want to see them. Again, they've kind of playing this a bit long now. I just want to see who it is, but they are keeping me intrigued week on week.
That ups my interest.
Yeah,
considerably.
I'm not fussed on Joe Gacy. I'm interested to see who the hell these 2 guys are.
Yeah, they might make the act better once we know who they are. We got another Apollo promo as well, didn't we?
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, that was a weird one.
Obviously, he's back in NXT. He's doing his almost Xia Li protector gimmick. That's what I see it like.
And also, again, his introduction back to NXT was him interrupting a Braun Breaker promo. I thought, he's the next challenger, and I think they're going to slowly build to that. But yeah, but what's interesting here is he's dropped Commander Aziz. He's dropped his Nigerian gimmick. He's dropped his accent, and he's just standard Apollo that we saw before,
which I much prefer.
I do too, but it's just interesting that they've.
I want him to get in a feud now, though.
It's not even dropping. It's, I guess, gaining the accent and then drop it again just feels a bit. I know they did it with Kofi back in the day, so it's not the first time they've done it.
They've done it quite a few times. They've done it with Lana as well.
Yeah.
She went Russian accent, then American, then Russian accent again. It was like,
yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, but interesting to see what he does on NXT. 3 matches. I'll roll them off. You guys tell me things about them. Cameron Grimes beat Idris Enofe. Von Wagner beat Brooks Jensen, and Alba Fire beat Lash Legend.
I'll say about the
through a DQ.
The Lash Legend. There wasn't much to it. She used her bat. She used Alba Fire's bat to.
Alba Fire is too good for that feud, in my opinion.
Yeah, definitely. Although Lash looked better in this feud than she has in others, I will say.
Because of who she's in the ring with.
Maybe because who she's in the ring with.
Alba Fire's
Cameron Grimes is interesting me at the moment. I thought we had a really good match actually with Idris Enofe.
Idris is so good.
I just like his character change. So he's backstage afterwards with Bron Breakker, and Bron goes, I'm looking forward to having a match with you. This Cameron Grimes. Cameron Grimes is like, you shouldn't be, because if this Cameron Grimes has a match with you, Cameron Grimes is the new champion.
Do you think Cameron Grimes could be NXT champion? No?
I don't think he's going to win. I don't mind if he does, by the way, but I don't think he will.
I wouldn't mind seeing this Cameron Grimes as champion.
Yeah, I just don't think I just don't think Braun drops it yet.
Yeah, it's cool, but yeah, I agree. I don't think he will drop it.
And what was the other match you said?
Von Wagner,
I have next to no interest in Von Wagner. Sorry.
Cool. Can I say anything on Von Wagner?
No, literally nothing. Just the fact that they want a piece now, aren't they?
Yeah, well, it's his tag team partner that beat him, wasn't it?
Josh Briggs beat him. Now it's Brooks Jensen.
Oh, yeah. That's how much I care.
Very easy to confuse those two. Even their names are too similar as well. It's a strange naming, I think, of those two guys. But yeah, and that Brooks is Jensen. All I've got from NXT, and I said anyone's got anything to add.
No.
If Thanks Fisher hasn't, we must have covered.
We've covered
every segment in wrestling this week.
So would we say that we are pretty much recharged?
Yep,
I'm fully charged.
So I hope we've been entertaining for you, and you are fully recharged. We have been Recharged Wrestling. Please give us a like and subscribe. Really appreciate it, and it keeps us making that content that we so enjoy. Follow us on Twitter. We post out very regularly at Recharge Wrestle. Keep an eye out for our separate AEW videos, which will be coming out not too far after this video. Check out all the other content. We've got Keeney's My GM mode from WWE 2K22.
Yeah, but if you haven't seen it, there are 49 episodes. Go back and watch.
Plus
49.
49, because
not 50.
Messed one up. But,
yeah, I did.
Yeah, I hope you've enjoyed it, and we will see you either on the AEW pod or next week. Thanks.
See you next time, guys.
See ya. Bye-bye.